I'm thrilled for you and to have you on, and that I can use this as an opportunity to tell you how happy you have made me for many, many years. I'm University of Michigan class of 1990, and I will never forget 1989, as I'm sure you don't either, being an assistant on that Steve Fisher coached team that cut down the Nets in Seattle with Glenn Rice and everyone else. And I just wanted to say thank you to start off our interview as being part of that.
I appreciate that, Rich. I've had an incredible journey in coaching, whether it was helping Coach Fisher interim title, win 6 straight games in the title, or the Fab Five, the first 5 freshmen to take a team to the championship game. A lot of fun experiences over my career.
So I'm just wondering, because it definitely struck me, knowing your background and knowing you and knowing, again, the story of 1989 with Darian Trammell at the line, with a foul being called late, and a lot of people are wondering if that really should be free throws here or not. Did the Ramil Robinson, analogy at all strike you at any point in time?
I brought it up in the press conference.
Huh.
I said, this is not the first game decided by free throws. 1989, Ramil Robinson got fouled, and he made 2 free throws to win a national championship. So it happens in March, and we're grateful it happened to us, and that Darian was able to make at least one of the 2 and advances to the Final Four.
And by the way, I was a Michigan Daily reporter at the time, Coach, and I drew the short straw to close the newspaper that night because everyone else wanted to party and watch Seton Hall versus Michigan, and I was running like a salmon against the stream, running across campus. It was bedlam. It was truly one of the greatest moments of my life. And I'm wondering
what basketball's, obviously changed over those years. We had 4 juniors, a couple of seniors on the floor. Those players now are a year and into the NBA, and to have Glenn Rice, Ramil Robinson, Terry Mills, Lloyd Vaught.
That's right.
All NBA players. Eric Riley off the bench is an incredible run.
And where is Coach Fisher today? What's your conversations with him been like as you've gone on this magical run? I
saw him yesterday. Mark Fisher is still on staff. Obviously, a decade fight with ALS, and so Mark is still part of the program. Coach brings him in, and so I see Coach quite a few times a week, and it's great. He's a great mentor.
So what conversations do you have with him basketball-wise? Does he give you a couple of cents? Do you pick his brain? I mean, can you give me any insight into some of these conversations that you're willing to share?
He's just the greatest guy in the world because he just is supportive. You're doing all the right things. You're doing a great job, magnificent job handling your team. It's not like, well, I think, Brian, you should X and O, Y's, do this or do that. I can get that occasionally from my dad, who is a former coach, Jim Dexter at the University of Minnesota. And so all you got to do is pick up the phone. There's always help. You know that in this business.
Don't forget Eastern Michigan. Don't forget Ypsilanti, Michigan, Coach. Don't forget that.
Michigan, George Gervin. He had the Iceman there at Eastern Michigan.
Did he really? I didn't know
he had
that.
George Gervin at Eastern Michigan. So
man.
And then my dad had obviously Kevin McHale, Michael Thompson,
Minnesota,
Flip Saunders, Ray Williams at the University of Minnesota. So I've grown up very fortunate being a coach's son to kind of see a lot of great players over my life.
So I guess what's your first basketball memory, Brian Dutcher? What's that for you?
Probably riding on guys' shoulders at Bowen Fieldhouse at Eastern Michigan as a little adolescent, getting a shoulder right on top of the shoulders of the players, running around Bowen Fieldhouse, jumping on the porta pits. The track surrounded the court. So, grow up around the game and just very fortunate to have been a part of it. Now I'm 63 years old.
Yeah, and in the Final Four with San Diego State taking on Florida Atlantic this coming weekend. And what have you already seen out of Florida Atlantic? What do you got for me already going into this Tuesday before the big Final Four contest on Saturday, Coach?
Winningest team in the country, deep like we are. Most teams shorten the bench this time of the year, but Florida Atlantic and the San Diego State Aztecs are deep, both 9 deep, and unafraid to play all those players. And so we have to know everybody on that roster. We can't all of a sudden let a guy come off the bench and go for 15, 16 points because we don't know who he is. So we are doing a deep dive into their personnel and trying to do our best job preparing.
And so what do it's interesting. I was speaking to Coach May yesterday, and he said some of his players are being recruited by other people figuring that this is just, a one-off here with Florida Atlantic. Are you experiencing anything similar? Obviously, San Diego State way more established, and thanks to Coach Fisher, and then obviously what you've been able to do there and some of the players that have come through. I'm just wondering if you've experienced anything similar in this crazy NIL mixed-up transfer portal world, Coach.
We probably have the lowest transfer rate of anybody in the country. We don't lose a lot of players to the portal, and yet we go to the portal. Even before it was the portal, we've always had great success with transfers in our program over the years.
So then what do you attribute that you don't have guys transferring out of your program for the Aztecs, Coach?
Culture's overused, but just honesty. Tell them what it's going to be before they come here, and when they get here, be real in their expectations, and just be a good person and be honest. And most kids leave because they feel like you haven't been honest with them.
Brian Dutcher, San Diego State Aztecs here on the Rich Eisen Show. And I know you were also open talking about, potentially moving and how there's a lot of movement in the world between conferences. Do you think there's a Pac-12 opening for your school that your school may take? I know that you've got other fish to fry right now, but I figured if I have the moment here, I'd ask you, Coach.
Like most coaches, I don't really have a say in it, but I just know this is a great university with great athletic programs and a great Southern Cal location. And so I think we would be desirable for a lot of conferences. So whether that happens or not is at a level beyond me, but I think we would be a program that most schools would be interested, or conferences if they were looking to expand.
Sure. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.